Hello. We are live. Hi, Carolyn. Good morning. Nancy, good morning. Lynn, good morning. Michael, good morning. Susan, good morning. And Stevie. Hi. All right, here we are back. I was off all last week. It was amazing. Honestly, probably one of the most satisfying self-care trips I've ever taken. And it could be just because there's so much going on in my life and there's such a great need for me to have that. I'm not sure if that's why it was so great, but honestly, it was really exactly what I needed. And now back to reality. So grateful to have this practice of yoga, so grateful to be teaching and to be showing up and to create this container around myself during the class where it really is about this moment right now. So I would have to say that that is the way that I live my life in terms of understanding health and how important managing stress is, the mental emotional stress. That's a really important thing. And that whole staying in this moment, really keeping the mind focused here. So that is what we are going to do. If anybody would like to share anything with me in terms of things that are going on in your life, things you need, things you want to learn more about, go ahead and feel free to write that now. And otherwise, if not, then I'm free to roam and create. So when I was gone last week, I did a lot of filming because I wanted to put together online programs and access to different practices, whether that's a 5-minute practice or a 15-minute practice or an hour-long practice. Because when we take the moments out to intentionally stretch, strengthen, lengthen, whatever it is, when we take the time out to take care of this package that we live in, it is so important for keeping ourselves pain-free and mobile and flexible. And when you move your body, there's a lot of deeper healing that takes place. So you start to get healed on a physiological, biochemical level as well. Okay, nobody has said anything. So I'm going to go back here. I'm pretty sure that my internet is better because I think they were installing some wires. Okay, well, so am I, Susan. So Susan, I actually, that's one of my specialties. So I've gone to professional cooking school. I teach cooking classes. Food is a real big important area for me. And I'm also a certified health coach. I run functional labs on the people that I work with. When I take on a private client for bone health, I run usually 4 labs to look at gut dysbiosis, to look at food sensitivities, really fine-tooth combing what's going on inside the body that's contributing to bone density loss. But I also put together lifestyle courses that are group focused, and so they're less expensive and in a shorter time frame. So I do have one coming up on September 27th, which is a week from Monday, and that's going to be a 3-week course where each time I've taught that course already 3 or 4 times. So each course gets more meaty and filled with information. And the next one that I'm putting together will be very extensive. And included at the end of the last session is going to be a pretty extensive nutrition guide. So I was originally going to write a book on bone health and food, and I probably still will. But that's going to accompany my osteoporosis lifestyle programs from now on. And that's probably close to 80 to 100 pages with a lot of information about different aspects of food related to bone health specifically for that course, yet for overall health. So if you want to learn more information, go to my website and look up my bone health osteoporosis lifestyle course. Also, it's in my newsletters, and you can sign up for my newsletter on my website, debbierobinson.com. All right, so here we go. Let's begin today with coming to this moment, being here, staying here, realizing the value of self-care on a physical, a physiological, and a deeper psychological layer, because those are the 3 areas where stress can actually have negative effects. And those are the areas we can really work towards healing and having overall wellness for our body, for our mind, and for our soul. So for today's practice, we're going to need a strap and a block and a blanket. I'd like to really explore range of motion today and the function of the motion in your body. And because it is a use it or lose it proposition, and because it is very important to stay functional in your joints, because when you get out of alignment in your joints, then the minerals come out of the bones to lay down more tissue. So for those with bone density issues, one of the ways that the minerals are being taken out of the body, out of the bones, is if you're off of alignment in your joints. And arthritis, part of the components of arthritis are minerals from our bones. So today's practice, I'd like to really focus on slow, intentional, very fully aware movements of functionality, and going slow to kind of, pump in the oil, lubricate the joints so you can go deeper in a range of motion. And that's important to me because when I work with people, I see the defeatism of, oh, I can't do that, or I can't go as deep as you do it, or I can't, da, 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 da. And so it's going to be you noticing where you are and what you can do. And so that you bring movement in without thinking, oops, I'm not doing that one, but rather, okay, let me see what I can do. So that's going to be today's practice. So let's get your props ready. One more thing I'd like to say is that slowing down the body, slowing down the mind is very challenging. And this class happens to be at a slower pace because when you go slow, you could see more. And if you think about a car driving, when you're going 100 miles an hour, you don't see anything on the sides. But when you slow down to 5 miles an hour, you see everything. So slower is harder because you see more, and then you need to get involved with more. So it becomes more challenging to do that. So we will be on the ground. We'll move around in different positions as well. And I'd like to begin in a position where you're seated so we can bring our awareness here. We're going to close our eyes, but this is what we're going to do with the eyes closed. We're going to let the hands find themselves. Now, if you don't have shoulder issues, you may be able to go overhead like this to do your hands together. And if you have shoulder issues, you may do this with the eyes closed. And if that doesn't work, if that's too much movement for your shoulders, maybe from here to here, whatever it is, whatever range of motion your shoulders will let you have, and whatever seated position your hips and knees will allow, find something. We're going to close the eyes so that we allow the brain to actually be very fired up in sense of feel, so that this electricity, this magnetism of the hands coming together happens, right? It's pretty miraculous. And this is a way to bring everything to center. So close your eyes. Try to be as tall as you could be in your spine. You have 26 vertebrae, starting at the tailbone and the sacrum embedded in the pelvis, and then 24 bones in your spine. So be in your body right now and try to pull a little length in your spine between each bone so that you get as tall as you can, which is closer to the height you were when you were a teenager. So for those of you that are out of your 50s or 50 and beyond, people start to say they shrink up to 2 to 3 or 4 inches. And in reality, there's a huge postural aspect to that. So can you align yourself here, get your spine nice and aligned, pull space between each bone, feel the activation of the muscles as you do that. And then let's begin whatever hand position you're going to do. We're going to find the palms in front of our body near our heart. You're either going to reach up overhead or reach right in front of your chest, whatever feels appropriate. So take your hands down alongside your body if that's appropriate for you. Take a big exhale. Let's begin. Inhale, raise the arms along the side of the body or out to the front. Let the hands find each other and then draw the hands down in front of the heart on the exhale. Inhale, open. Exhale down. Now be in your palms. So let your mind go to your hands. Let your mind feel the palms find each other. Are they even? Be intrigued by the fact that the hands can find each other in the way that they do. And then draw the hands down to the heart. Let the thumbs touch the sternum bone or the area right by the heart. Inhale up, hands find each other. Draw the hands down. And then let's finish this movement we're on and do one more movement like that. Let your hands stay in front of the chest. Lengthen the back neck, slightly tuck the chin down towards the chest. We're going to enter with sound today. So a small little sound in your throat, like a humming sound. We're going to do that on the exhale. So take a big inhale. Let the hands move down. Go ahead and blink your eyes open. So rituals are something that humans have done since the beginning of time, right? And that's something that we've kind of moved away from. But setting the intention that right now, this is the time for yoga. This is when we're going to connect. And the little humming, bringing that sound aspect to ground the mental energy, the hands together to bring you to this moment. I know for myself right now, I feel definitely stimulated in my relaxation zone. Hopefully that's happening for you as well. So let's take your blanket and place your blanket at the top of the mat. You have the opportunity here to do some postural correction. If you are someone that has some rounding in your back, if you are someone that has shoulder issues where the shoulder bones, the upper arm bone is too far forward in the sockets, you have a little opportunity here to help correct and get a little more of a straight presentation in your spine. And in order to do that, you would have not such a high folded blanket. So this is not about trying to make yourself comfortable for sleep and making a big fluffy pillow. This is trying to do the least amount of support you can manage so that you are opening and stretching the front of your spine and the muscles of posture in the upper front body and deepen the spine. So let's come down onto the mat, bring yourself all the way down, and then move yourself into a position that you have your head and your neck area by the blanket. And then I'd like you to bring your awareness to your shoulder blades, push your arms into the floor and slide the shoulder blades towards the center of your spine so that you feel the flat shoulder blades resting on the floor. And then it's up to you here. Close your eyes and explore what range of motion feels appropriate. Does it feel good to take your legs straight? And if you do one at a time. That's a lot of lengthening for some bodies, and it may actually feel a little bit too much tension in the beginning. And if that's you, then you could go back to bent knees. Feet are a little bit wider than the body, and you allow the knees to fall in towards each other and be supported. So whatever is appropriate for you, find that. Then let's take the hands on the belly. Spread the hands. Try to let the pinkies be down by the legs and the thumbs up by the lower ribs. Really spread your fingers. And if you'd like, you could bring the fingertips together so that the middle finger, maybe middle and maybe pointer finger touch. And let your arms rest on the floor. Eyes are closed. Wiggle your lower jaw. Take tension out of your mouth. Maybe open your mouth really wide. And do that again. And then close your mouth. That can actually help to correct some of the spinal alignment in the cervical spine. Let the tongue rest where the roof of the mouth and the teeth meet. And I'd like to do the Sukha Pranayama, the breath of peace, which is an equal counted breath. And I'll start with a 4 on the inhale and 4 on the exhale. And then I'll move on to the 6 on the inhale, 6 on the exhale. And then allow you to do a couple yourself. And maybe the 4 is right for you. Maybe you need 5, maybe 6. Take your time to find what is a comfortable breathing rate for you without causing any kind of anxiety or accelerated heart rate. It's called Sukha Pranayama, a breath of peace. This helps to regulate the nervous system, calm the mind, calm the body. Let's prepare by taking a big exhale. Inhale through the nose, 2, 3, 4. Exhale through the nose, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Adding on. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue on your own. Use any number that feels appropriate. Equal inhale, equal exhale. Breathing in and out of the nose. Keep the mouth closed if you can. If your mind gets distracted, bring your awareness back to counting and noticing your hands on your belly. Notice the breath coming in and out of your body. And notice all that you notice. Finish the last breath that you're on, and then take 3 more breaths. And when you finish that last breath, let the breath go. It's really important for us to get involved with our breath because it is the only body system we can actually manage. And when we manage the breath, we manage the nervous system, we manage the respiratory system, and that in turn manages the cardiovascular system and a lot of the internal physiological processes. So it's actually your ability to have some control on your health at a pretty substantial and deep level. And it's really one of the most helpful and beneficial and healing aspects of yoga is the breath component of the practice. Let's take your fingers and your toes, begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. And then draw your knees into your chest to come into a ball and rock yourself side to side. So in the practice of yoga, the guidebook that most Western yoga is based on is from a book with an 8-limbed approach or an 8-stepped approach or a ladder progressive approach to healing and to freedom from suffering. And the physical part of the practice is the third aspect. The first two are mindset trainings and practices. The third one is the physical practice, and the fourth one is the breath. And then you start to go into controlling the mind or preparing the mind to go into concentration and from there into meditation. So it really is this practice and this ritualistic practice of self-healing on a very deep level. So when we're here in this class, go ahead and put your feet down. Yes, there's a lot of physical awareness on the body. And then I tried to infiltrate some of the mindset pieces and some of the tools for that. And then, of course, the breath work to really get you into a place to start to be able to manage your body, manage your mind, manage your breath, and then you'll be able to manage your mind. All right, let's go into warming up the body. So take the body really long here and stretch your body glove. Move as slow as you need to and with awareness and intention on your body and noticing where you are today or noticing where you are at this time in your life with love and acceptance without judgment. Let's take a big inhale here, stretch, stretch, stretch. And on the exhale, draw your left knee in and take hold above the shin area and draw your knee in really deep. The right leg is straight, the left leg is bent. See if you could feel maybe a stretch on the front of the right. For those of you that feel the stretch on the right side, that's tightness in your hip flexors. These are the muscles we need to stretch. They get really tight from sitting. And this is important to keep this part of your body limber because you need to be able to bend properly to not create fractures in your spine if you get osteoporosis or bone density issues. And it's also important to get dressed and to be able to garden and bend down and pick something up if you need it, and to be able to be bendable and not breakable, and also to be able to bend so that you can save yourself from falling. So you receive in joints different aspects of movement so that it doesn't turn into a fall. So for fall prevention. So wiggle your leg back and forth. Now maybe you feel a little stretch in the left leg, right where the leg is bending, or maybe you were feeling that anyway. Then taking the leg out to the side, keep your pelvis quiet. So try not to let your pelvis rock. I'm not rocking my pelvis. I'm keeping my pelvis stationary and I'm taking the left leg, moving the leg, moving to external rotation, feeling that inner thigh muscle group, feeling the muscle group here, the hip flexors. And then let's take the left leg in the right hand and start to go over a little bit towards the right. Now go slow here, and anybody with a posterior hip replacement, if you have a replacement in the back, the line is on the side of your body. You want to be a little careful when you go to the side here. For anterior hip replacement, you want to be careful when you open. And I say that, but I would say that most physicians are saying at this point, the newer replacement parts after 2008 are designed in such a way that there's a lot less dislocations, but always bringing your awareness to your body. And then go ahead and place that leg on the ground, straighten that leg, and then draw the right leg in, holding on top of the shin, straightening the left leg, experiencing what's happening on the front of the left thigh. Do you notice anything there? And draw the right knee in pretty deep. Notice how you feel about the flexion, the bending of this right leg, the right hip joint, and the right knee. And then the really interesting thing about the knee for me is that a lot of people have knee issues, right? It's the biggest joint and the number one weight-bearing joint. It took a lot of whatever your life's experiences are are right here in this joint. And so when you flex it in this position, for many, it's doable. And when you're standing or going into a seated position, it's a little more challenging when you add weight. So bringing the flexion in as deep as you can, and I didn't say this on the other side, but if this was really painful for the knee, you could actually take your hand underneath the leg and draw the leg in. So doing whatever you can, and then let's start to add that movement side to side, going slow and coaxing some moisture to enter the joint and the joint itself to actually secrete some fluids that will allow it to glide and slide. And then to start to warm up the muscle fibers and the connective tissue fibers so that it's a little bit more accepting of you moving in and out of a body position. Now take the right leg in the right hand and start to move out to the side, feeling the inner thigh stretch, going slow. For those of you with anterior hips, that means your cut is here in the front of your leg. You just want to be aware in your hip, feeling what you're feeling and noticing what you're noticing. That's how you're going to stay healthy, is having body awareness, so that you don't throw your bag of bones around and instead you move with awareness and intention. And then let's take the right leg with the left hand. And now you're going to move towards the left a little bit, stretching that side and the glute area. And this is an important area to keep nice and mobile because there's a lot of nerves that come down to the feet. So to keep good balance in our body and to not impinge or pinch nerves and cause pain like that would be happening in sciatica. Then keep the right knee here, bring the left knee in. And let's do a little movement in the knee joint to lubricate some fluids in that knee. Now notice, I don't want you to be too far away from your body. So have your knees pretty close to your body. The closer you bring the knees, the more you introduce flexion to the low back, and the low back presses into the ground. So for those with low back issues, definitely make sure your knees are close to your chest. For those that are okay and have a pretty good range of motion, if you let your knees be right above the hip joint, this actually does a lot of core work. And you'll feel how the low back wants to fly away from the ground, and you need to support and stabilize your spine here. So you have to activate the core. And then this is actually also here going to start to warm up the quadriceps, which is supportive of knee health. And we really need our knees to be able to be active and stay mobile. And then go ahead and bring your knees in. So in that period of doing that, I definitely felt the heat generating in my quads, and then side to side. So let's go a little bit farther here with the legs. We're going to do the left leg first. So put your right foot on the floor and let's keep that right leg bent. Hold on now underneath your hamstring and clasp your hands so you get a nice firm hold. Now this little series that we're going to do here is a way to keep your joints really nice and lubricated and functional. And we need that because the goal is to always be able to move and walk and garden and do things that are very healing for our body and our mind. So here I'd like you to notice the tracking of your knee. When you unbend your foot, make sure your toes are pointing straight up. And then if you're able to go closer to a straight leg, you want the sole of the foot to be pointing straight up towards the sky, the toes towards the back wall and the heel away from you. So you don't have a bend in your foot when you come up and you're not half up. You really try to go into that flexion. So you bend your knee, keep the flexion in the ankle. So keep this L shape here. You bend and you extend. And notice what you notice here. Notice where you feel the tension when you move towards straight. If you want a little bit more and you want this to be also core, because there's a lot of people that have a really challenging time with doing really mellow stuff and need there to be a strengthening or a workout part. And so if you wanted to keep your leg coming right out of the hip and moving here like this, you'll be doing some more quad work. Make sure you're tracking. The knee cap is pointing towards the wall behind you. and it doesn't move side to side. It doesn't go off course. And then everyone come to a straight leg, as close to straight as you could get. And then go ahead and bend the knee a little bit. Let's inhale, strongly point your toe. Real strong, feel that stretch in the front of the foot. And exhale, really strong, heel up towards the sky, toes towards you. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And then notice if you hear any crunchy stuff, any crackling. Now, as long as there's no pain with any of that, it's okay. That's just an indication of some of the dryness, tightness, kind of like beef jerky. Think of beef jerky in those areas, or even in the connective tissue area, maybe some arthritic deposits or scar tissue, some cobwebs. All right. So let's now go slow in a circular pattern. Look at your ankle joint. Look at the ligaments, the tendons, the muscles, the bones, the joints. It's always very intriguing for me to look. And then see if you could see the ligaments and tendons, actually, tendons of your muscles on your toes. And then go in the other direction. Not a lot of muscles here in the feet, right? But I will say that one of the areas I notice the definition in my body from all my practice of yoga, the physical part, is my feet. I notice a lot of definition in my feet, a lot of mobility in my feet from all the work. And then maybe here you're noticing the calf muscle, because the calf muscle is doing some things and some other muscles in this calf area. And then let's go ahead and take the left leg down. And then let's do a little check-in here. Straighten the left leg, straighten the right. Have your feet be pretty wide here, because it'll be a little more comfortable for the low back. You can put your hands on your belly if you'd like. And I'd like you to bring your awareness to your left leg and left foot. Now we just moved that foot, stretched the tissues. And so see if you could feel a buzzing or some activity, some vibration that's happening in your left foot, your left sole, your left ankle, your left leg, the upper and the lower. And now bring your awareness to your right leg, your right foot, and notice what you notice there. Do you sense anything in the right foot? And then go ahead and bend both knees. Now for me, I noticed a lot of tingling and a lot of action in the left leg that we just worked, and I noticed nothing in the right leg. And that's really what happens is when you start to stretch your tissue, you free up the ability for everything to buzz and hum and become electrified. All right, let's hold on behind the right leg now and begin to move in your knee joint, largest joint in the body, most prone to injury. And definitely one of the areas that most people seem to have issues are the knees. Start to look at your foot here. The toes are pointing straight back, the heel away from you, and the sole of the foot straight up towards the sky. Kneecap is pointing backwards. So let's try to get that nice alignment in the foot. Notice if your foot's going out to the side, or is it trying to turn inward? And then if you'd like it to be a little bit more work-based, you could take this femur bone, let it come straight out of the hip joint, unbending the leg going towards straight. Try to get the sole of the foot to be pointing straight up towards the sky and the toes towards the wall behind you. And really work with that functionality. Notice what you notice. Is there a pattern? Does something happen in the hip and the knee on the way to straight? Now, I didn't direct this on the other side, but I'd like to do this here. Think about your big toe edge of your foot, all the way down the big toe to the inner edge of the heel. And let that be what you look at when you're going up towards the ceiling. So that part of your foot, you're pushing up towards the ceiling. So you're either holding on behind or you're unbending and straightening. And then go ahead and bring your leg in, hold behind, take a break, letting everything relax. And then let's go to the inhale to stretch the foot. Exhale to flex. Inhale to stretch. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And now circles. Go slow. Look at your leg. So I believe that pinky toe is actually the number one bone that is broken in the body. The number one area for fractures is the wrist, but the bone itself is the pinky toe. And I actually did break that pinky toe when I was moving furniture and had something put in a place it wasn't before. And what I learned during that experience, which I'm feeling now, is that there's a muscle that goes from the pinky toe all the way up to right by the side of the knee. And this whole side of the leg right here helps to keep the foot in the proper alignment, switch directions. So I'm actually feeling that muscle group as well stretch. So keeping this part of your body, this is where most of the balance happens in your body, is your foot and your ankle. So it's important for fall prevention. And depending on where you're at in terms of age, the closer we get to 80, so the older we become, the closer we get to 80, the more breakdown there is in the body and the bones and the muscles and in the communication of the nervous system, the greater the risk of falling, the greater the risk of fracture, and the greater the ill effects are from falls. So things like this are preventative measures to keep ourselves away from that, and to also be able to really still keep ourselves in a really mobile place so we can keep moving. All right, go ahead and let's take your body into a really long position here. Stretch, stretch, stretch. When you're here like this, I want you to pull your lower ribs away from your legs so you really feel a deep stretch in your abdominal area. And because we sit more than we should in this time in our lives in these days, this part of our body gets really restrictive. And if you think about it, this part of your body is where your liver, your pancreas, your kidneys, your intestines, this is where you bring in the building blocks of health through the foods that you eat, through the digestive system into the body, into our tissues. So we need this to be nice and functional. And so with that said, let's do a little twist action, because twists can actually compress this part of our body. So let's do a little twist before we go to the leg stretch. Push your feet into the floor, lift your pelvis up, and then move your pelvis to the left. So pick it up, your feet are still where they are, your rib cage stays where it is. You're gonna push your pelvis over to the left. Now, some of you may need a block, so you could have your block handy if you do. Draw your knees into your chest. Put your arms out to the side. Keep your shoulder blades and your rib cage on the floor. And so that's where you may need this. So if you keep your upper body on the floor and then you let your knees start to fall to the right, see if you could get all the way to the floor and still keep the left shoulder blade on the floor. And a lot of people cannot do that. And then if that's you, then you could put the block either underneath your legs or even in between the top leg and the lower leg. And this is really stretching the left side, stretching the hip area, stretching the low back area, and then push your heart up towards the sky. Push your right arm into the ground and try to push your heart straight upward. So push the right arm into the ground so you keep that rotation in the thoracic spine, and then push your heart up towards the sky so you actually add a back bend into the upper spine. Feel the stretch where you feel the stretch, and then bring your awareness to this top leg, the left leg, and push the leg away from you. Create space in your left waist area.
by pushing the pelvis and the leg away from you with your muscles. And then if you'd like to let the right hand rest on top of the left knee, you could do that. And then deep rest down to your belly. Again, here, more opportunity to align joints, in this case, aligning the spine. And when I deepened my breath, I actually felt some movement in my spine. I'm very body aware, and I keep my body so mobile that my joints are still pretty mobile and movable. And my chiropractor told me that quite often after age 50, a lot of people's bones start to fuse with cobwebs, which are made out of minerals that come out of the bones, contributing to bone mineral density loss. And he said that a lot of people lose their range of motion in their joints. So very important to stay mobile in your joints. Push your heart up towards the sky, lengthen the top of the left wrist, waist away from the lower ribs. You want space in this part of your body. This is when you lose the space here in your body, it's because you're developing that roundness in the spine, and that contributes to fractures in the spine. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and release. Again, with that big breath there, I felt some spinal movement in my thoracic spine. Let's go ahead and bring your knees in and then put your feet on the ground. Lift your pelvis up and then shift your pelvis over to the right. Draw the knees in one at a time and then take the block in the left hand. Press your heart up towards the sky and then allow the legs to slowly move over, keeping the right shoulder blade on the ground. Knees higher to the chest is safer for the low back. And then take the block wherever you need it, maybe between your legs, maybe nowhere at all. Create space in your right waist. Now I feel my whole low back sacral area moving. And part of that, is because I have a hip replacement. So I have that in my body, which my bones are trying to calibrate with and find their alignment with. And then if you'd like to take your left hand on top of your right leg, or push your left hand into the ground to press the shoulder blades into the ground and push your heart up towards the sky. Deep breaths down to your belly. And the breath can actually help to do that spinal alignment or to help move things in the system. So let the movement of the lungs expanding and contracting be part of what's helping you here. And take one more breath. And then go ahead. Take your block out to the side, bring your knees back up to center, put your feet on the floor, lift your pelvis up, and then let's draw the knees into the chest pretty deep here, rolling in a ball shape. So our body is what's called a tensegrity unit. Think about a bag of onions. You know the bag that the onions comes in, and it's a plastic bag, kind of like a net. And if you lay it down on the counter, those diamond shapes between the netting are in the diamond shape. And if you pulled on one, actually affect a lot of that bag. If you pulled on both ends, shape of all of the diamond shape structures, that's how the body is. So if you're tight on one side, then the other, there's going to be a pulling on that side and a pulling on the other side. So trying to find this alignment and realign your body is how we're going to keep ourselves out of pain and discomfort, keep the minerals in the bones where they belong so they don't come out, keep the cobwebs from building up so that we don't have that stickiness in our body and we can always be mobile. Let's do a deeper stretch of the legs. So let's take the left leg in, take the strap, put the strap on the foot, and then hold on to both sides of the strap. Take your leg side to side, your foot, side to side. And the important thing is that you keep your kneecaps centered. And when I watch people do this, they move their whole leg or they move the leg. I want it to only be the ankle and the foot. So really mobilizing the ankle joint, that place that's so important for balance and for functionality, because the kinetic chain begins in the feet, or, chicken or the egg. Where is it beginning? Where is it ending? But anyway, the communication of joint alignment when you're standing starts in the feet. And then the ankles are a huge part of where will every joint be after that. The communication of where's the alignment in the joints in a standing position. All right, slide your hands down the strap, wrap your hands around the strap. Keep your right knee bent if you'd like, or straighten the leg for a deeper stretch, whatever feels appropriate for you. And then go ahead and draw the left leg back towards the wall behind you. If you keep the knee straight, that'll pull on the pelvis and stimulate bone growth in your pelvis, if that's important to you. Or if you're pretty tight, you could go ahead and bend the knee a little bit to get a deeper stretch in the belly of the hamstring muscle group. So choose what's appropriate for you, your body, and your intention. What is your intention for this posture? Is it to stretch the hamstring? Is it to pull on the pelvis and also stretch the hamstring? Deep breath. And then take one more breath. Let's go ahead and bring the right foot up into the strap. Place the strap on the arch. Bring your hands a little higher on the strap. You have better control if you do that. And move your foot back and forth, side to side. So this will help you be able to walk or hike without the fear of tripping, slipping, and falling. Give you more feedback. So we'll call it feedback, but I'd like to call it feetback because it's the foot that's transmitting up to the brain. So when it's in the foot, I'm going to call it, we need to work on our foot back instead of feedback. And then let's take your hands farther down the strap, wrap your hands around, straighten the left leg if that's appropriate for you, and then draw that leg back. Either straight knee or bent knee, up to you. Deep breaths. Stay with your breath. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and let's take the strap out. Draw your knees into your chest. Let's do happy baby. Kind of settle the low back here. So spread your legs. Actually, before you even come into your happy baby, spread your legs pretty wide here. So as wide as you can. For those of you that are pretty limber, you could actually take your hands on the ground and hold on underneath the legs. I like to do that. And then go ahead, bring your legs up and out. You could either do it with holding on or not. Definitely using core muscles, using leg muscles, open and close. Open and close. So strengthening some of those hip joint muscles, getting stronger hips. And then we're going to see how this goes. So let's try to do, you could do bent leg like this. You could do toe taps on the ground, or you can move towards straight legs. Straight legs is definitely more challenging, a lot more core involvement when you do the straighter legs. Go really nice and slow here. Slower is harder. And you don't need to go all the way down to the ground. So just do whatever's appropriate for you and your body. And then draw the knees into the chest. And then roll onto your side. Take your hand, place your hand on the floor in front of you, and try to lead with your shoulder, not your head. So notice if you wanted to lift your head up, and if you wanted to roll back onto your back, notice that. Keep yourself forward. Pressure on the hand, look down at the hand and push yourself up and away from the floor and bring yourself all the way up. So I was away last week, and I spent a lot of time outdoors. I spent a lot of time at the beach, and I spent a lot of time on hikes and on walks. And it dawned on me as I was scaling the rocks to go up and down from the path down to the beach, the place that I was had a lot of rocks. And I really noticed how strong I feel and the intelligence that I gauged where I could and couldn't go up and down, because sometimes there were stairs, of course, that's a lot easier, but there were some sections where I could take a shortcut, and I looked to see how much sand is on the rocks. I looked to see how steep it was, and that inner intelligence that we develop, that interoception, and that in yoga we call it your buddhi, like the layer of intellect that knows that yes, I should, or no, I shouldn't, that deeper layer. That's what we work on in yoga, is trying to work on our buddhi, B-U-D-D-H-I or B-U-D-D-I. It's Sanskrit, so when it gets translated over, sometimes you see different spellings for things. But your buddhi is your deeper layer of intelligence. So this is going to help to fortify your deeper layer, because not only will you be stronger, feel stronger, but you'll know what your range of motion is. Okay, let's come on to all fours. Coming on to all fours, the important thing here is make sure your hands are far enough away from your knees. And if you have wrist issues, the farther away you go and the more you turn your hands out to the side, the easier it may be on the wrist joint. And then do a little rocking forward and back, settling in your shoulder, settling in your hip. This can be really nice and therapeutic for those with shoulder issues and hip issues. So if you do have hip pain, coming to all fours can be a really nice therapeutic place to be. And if the wrists don't like to be loaded on, modify, try to get maybe 2 blocks where you come on to forearms so that you can put that pressure in your shoulders and in your wrists. All right, we are going to do a little bit of all fours positions here. So for those that need to modify, you're either going to roll up your blanket or your mat or grab blocks or something. We're going to do a little cat and cow. Take your hands wide, take your legs wide, take your hands forward, pointer fingers are pointing forward. Let's push the belly towards the ground. Point the tailbone up towards the sky behind you, or the wall behind you. Push your low ribs towards the floor. Push your heart towards the floor. And then push your clavicle bones towards the floor and open up your throat. Keep your arms straight. Don't bend your arms. And then open up your throat. Inhale here. This is cow. As you exhale, start to push your belly up towards your spine and push the low back up towards the sky. Stop there if you have osteoporosis. If you don't have osteoporosis, push the low ribs, the middle ribs, and the back ribs up towards the sky. And then let the head move down towards the ground. Stretch the cervical spine. Shake your head yes, shake your head no. You would not do this part if you have osteoporosis. Inhale, we can all do this part. Push your belly button towards the floor. Push your low ribs towards the floor. Push your heart towards the floor. Push the upper ribs towards the floor. Open the throat. Crown of the head towards the sky. Tailbone towards the sky. Feel the stretch in the belly. Inhale. As you exhale, push the low back up towards the sky, pushing the belly button towards the spine, spine up towards the sky. Stop there if you have osteoporosis, and if not, low ribs, middle ribs, upper ribs, head towards the sky, the ground, tailbone towards the ground, and then bring yourself up into the last extension position, belly, low ribs, mid ribs, upper ribs, open throat,
And then let's walk yourself back. Come up, shake your wrists. Come onto your blanket like this. Let's stretch your foot and the side body. We've done a lot to stretch that ankle today. So notice here, are you able to get this really strong angle in your ankle? And also, are you able to get the entire foot on the floor? So that's an indicator for you to see what tightness exists in your ankle. And the ankle is where you transmit the balance. So for strong balance, you need really flexible feet and ankles. So if you do have tight ankles there, this is an area that would be great for you to work on daily to get some of that range of motion to come in. So sole of the foot is on the ground, toes are pointing forward. Try to get a nice bend here in your hip. So you're growing out of this standing leg here, bending the hip here. So these are functional movements. I teach these postures quite often because these are the functional movements and the part and healthy. And then let's take the other hand is on your leg. And then let's take your hand up. So your hands on your body, palms up, bend your elbow. So try to make this function of the elbow. Palm is down and keep your arm alongside your body. So arm is alongside your body. Now let the hand come up. See if you could hold on to your shoulder here. Exhale and then inhale. Let the elbow reach up. Let this hand slide down the right leg. Let the elbow reach up towards the sky and then bring yourself back on the exhale. Inhale, let the move away from the top pelvis and then exhale back. Inhale up and then exhale back. One more, you're going to inhale up. Stay here. For those of you that don't have any shoulder issues, if you'd like to unbend your elbow, reach your arm up, maybe go a little deeper if you can. And then look up to the sky. Make sure you can see the sky. So don't have the hand blocking the sky. Reach the hand alongside your body as you do this. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself up. Hopefully you feel something here. You feel something there. You feel something over here. Let's go to the other side. Take your foot to the side. Try to let your whole foot touch. And your leg, better to come outside of your body. If you need to have a little bit forward, go ahead and try that. Allow that hip side flexion, lateral flexion to enter. Foot is on the floor. The ankle joint is doing what it is doing. And then really be rooted in your standing leg. So you get that nice compressive force in the pelvis. And I always wonder, this is my hip replacement side. Down. But I don't have to worry about breaking this hip because it's not real. All right. Take your hand on your leg and then take your hand down alongside and bending the elbow. When you do this, flex your wrist like this, you'll actually start to stretch some of the tissue that's on the arm. And then the next time you're going to bring yourself up, hold on to the upper arm. This is your shoulder joint. And then you're going to take an exhale. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And then we're going to do one more of those. One more, stay up there. Stay here. And if you'd like to unbend your arm, try to see if you could do it without changing where that upper arm bone was. Looking up towards the sky to make sure you're not blocking your view. Going a little deeper if that's available for you. Really feel that deep stretch here. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself up. Okay. So do a little spine here. And we have actually done a lot of stretching here in this part of our body. And we've done a lot of stretching in the lower part, the ankle, the foot, the feet area. So I'd like us to think about stretching our spine here. So we're going to move through a little flow of puppy dog and up dog. And this practice today's practice that I'm teaching you is a lot of what I do to keep my body in good shape. These are the basic asanas that I use to keep my body in shape. I find them to be pretty basic in terms of targeting a lot of the functionality in the body. So this right here, the puppy dog, keep your tushy in the air. Let it be your hip joint that bends. Let your forehead come down. You may need a block there for your head. So if you need a block, get a block. This is the puppy dog. And then we're going to come forward into up dog. Puppy dog to up dog. Now the important thing here is that you're actually moving through your hip joint and your spine. So the hip joint is moving and the spine is lengthening. And so we're stretching the muscles in the front of the spine, in the front of the hips, in the front of the pelvis, the whole abdominal area. And then we're stretching the back muscles here. So the muscles that support the spine are getting stretched. These are posture, alignment, and basic function muscles. You exhale when you come back and you bend your body or you close the body off. And when you open the body into a stretch position is when you take your inhale. Close your eyes, flow in whatever range of motion you have. Even if you're not going to the full end range of motion, try to find some of this in your body. I find that wider legs helps with my low back, and wider arms helps. So widening your arms and your legs may give you a little bit more range of motion. And then bring yourself up. Now, we did the twist today, which really focused a lot on here. I'd like to twist the upper trunk and stretch the shoulder blade area. So the important thing is when we do this, we're going to do it on the ground. I'll show you on the ground. But what happens is when the arm goes through like this, the other arm is like this. So we're rotating, we're taking our upper body and we're trying to rotate it. And the low body is locked in that puppy dog posture. So it's called thread the needle or figure 4 in the upper. This is what the posture looks like. And you want to take, so I'm trying to push my heart forward. Now, what's hard is if your tushy is here, if my tushy's here and all my weight's going into my head, this is super uncomfortable. So you need your weight of your pelvis to be back so that you're not putting extra weight in your head when you come into this. And for some of you, maybe even having a block to rest your head on may be a better place for you to be to get this rotation. Okay, so let's try to find this in your body. So you take both arms straight, push your weight back so that your pelvis is moving back. Like the tailbone is right above the calf area. It's not right above the knees. So push yourself back. That's bending the hip. And then you're going to thread your hand through whichever one you'd like, and then push away from the floor to really rotate yourself forward. And you're not letting the shoulder, like this shoulder here, that the hands through, you're not resting it on the ground. So the shoulder's not touching the floor. The back of the hand touches the floor. Really rotate, twist, twist, twist. Push your heart forward, lengthen your spine here when you do that. Deep breaths. Take one more breath. And really think about a rag. When you wring a rag out to get all the water out of it, think about that. Let's take the other hand, go to the other side. Keep your pelvis back. Come into this twist position and feel that stretch in the upper back area by the shoulder blade. This is good for those that golf or play tennis or pickleball or badminton, anything where you're rotating your trunk. This is going to help give you a little more force when you play those games and keep you safe when you're playing.
Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself up. Come up, shake yourself off. You can bend your feet if you'd like to sit on them. So I'd like to do a plank posture because it's a very nice strengthening posture. It's another posture I do almost daily. This is a way for me to keep all the strength in my body, or a lot of strength. So the basic plank, or you could come into the modification or go down onto your forearms if you need that. Let's prepare by taking the hands underneath. I'm gonna time us for a minute here. So I'd love for you to know how many breaths you take in 1 minute. So let's take one foot back and then the other coming into your plank. Start counting your breaths. Almost. Go ahead and release. So I didn't talk during that plank because I wanted you to see how much mental energy it requires to stay in the moment, right? You don't go anywhere with that. You're there. Oh my gosh, how much longer? Is it close to a minute? Can I do this? Do I need to come out? All those things, right? Shake your wrists. Let's come back down on the ground. Have your block handy. Bring yourself back down onto the ground. You can draw your knees into your chest when you get onto the ground. That'll help to realign or to bring that flexion into the lower back. I like to end with a little spinal flexion and extension here, a little movement, a little undulation of your spine. So let's take the block between the legs. That'll help to fire up the stabilization of the center midline. Take your hands behind your head. We're going to be bending our spine in one direction of smiley face and then in the opposite. So if you have osteoporosis, you're going to keep your arms out to the side and not do the upper part like this. But if you don't have osteoporosis, you could come into that. If you have osteoporosis, you're going to keep your arms out like this when you lift the upper body and then lower. Let's prepare. Take a big exhale. Squeeze the block, flatten the low back into the floor, press the spine into the floor, lift the upper body up, keep the elbows out if you have osteoporosis, and if you don't, bring the elbows towards each other, chin towards the chest, and slowly inhale to lower. Exhale to rise. Inhale to lower. Exhale to rise. Inhale to lower. Close your eyes. Feel your spine bending. And then when you come down all the way. Take the blanket away from your head. Slide your shoulder blades closer to each other. Slide your feet away from your body. Press your feet into the floor. Take an exhale. Squeeze the block. Inhale, lift your left hand off the floor with your tushy and turn your head to the right. Exhale to lower. Inhale, right hand up. Exhale, lower. One more each side. Left hand up. Lower. Right hand. And then lower. Take your block out to the side, bring your blanket behind you, draw your knees in for the last time. And then taking your body into whatever position you're going to end your practice today in Shavasana, allowing the integration of everything that we just practiced to sink, seep, and integrate into your body and your mind. Gently begin to deepen your breath. And then a couple of sighs here for all the goodness you just did for your body and your mind and your soul and your future self. Wiggling the fingers and the toes and then drawing the knees into the chest. Rolling onto your right side. And then when you're ready, pushing yourself to come up to a seated position.
When we come into the seated position, we're gonna close the practice with sound, the sound. Just bring the hands together, the thumbs touch the sternum bone. Lengthen your spine, grow out of your pelvis. Feel your pelvis and your rib cage aligned, head on top of the spine. Take a deep exhale, deep inhale. At the end of the practice, bowing in gratitude and namaste. Namaste. Practice movement every day, practice functional movement. Watch the way your body moves and notice where there's dysfunction so you can correct the dysfunction. And that's how you keep yourself being able to live a full active life and staying safe in your joints as you move. So you keep minerals in the bones, you don't bring them out of the bones, and you keep yourself mobile and not sticky and stuck. All right, have a great day. Would anybody like to ask anything or say anything? You're welcome, Michael. All right. Have a great day, and I'll see you all next week. All right. Bye.